Okay, good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Mike Fahy, and today's topic is easy wireless access with the Keypanion app. We'll give others just a few seconds to join, and then we'll kick off our webinar. All right, let's begin. So first off, thank you for joining us. My name is Mike Fahy. I'll be your host today. A couple housekeeping issues to start off with. You probably noticed when you joined the webinar that your camera and microphone were muted. That's just to keep things silent while we're presenting and make sure the other attendees aren't distracted by phone calls and such. There will be a time for question and answers at the end of the webinar. You can submit your questions via the Q&A section of Teams at any time during the webinar, but we'll answer the questions at the end. We are recording this session so that we'll share this with you in a couple days via an email link. So briefly about myself, my name is Mike Fahy. I'm the Commercial Product Manager for Southco's Electronic Access Solutions, celebrating my 30th anniversary with Southco later this year. And for the last 17 of those 30 years, my focus has been on electromechanical locks and access control devices. And essentially, I'm taking all of that knowledge over the 30 years and the 17 years of electronics and helping today to explain why we created the Keypanion app and the benefits of the problems I've seen over these past 17 and 30 years that our customers are going through. So briefly about Southco. Southco has been around since 1945, and we engineer, manufacture, and deliver what we call engineered access hardware, or your customer's touch point for your application. Whether it's a latch, a handle, a hinge, a mobile app, we are what your customer interfaces with when they're getting access to your piece of equipment. We have facilities all around the world. We support our customers locally with local stock, sales support, customer service support, and as you can see, we have over 100,000 standard products in our catalog. So the agenda for today's meeting, we're going to talk about the challenges with mechanical key locks. We'll then review the functionality of our wireless access control system through a use case demonstration. We'll talk about some resources available to you to learn more about the product, and we'll take time for questions at the end. So I'd like to talk about the challenges of mechanical keys and mechanical key locks. One thing I like to say is I talk to customers, especially around gathering voice of the customer input on developing our mobile app, was what are the challenges our customers face? And the way to summarize that is with one word: it's unmanageable. So I've taken all that feedback and kind of summarized it into 12 specific lines. Things that our customers are challenged with. The fact that mechanical keys can be lost, they can be stolen, they can be broken. What do you have to do when that happens? Get out a locksmith to come out and service that lock, change it out, change out the key code. That can get very expensive and very time consuming. One of the big challenges that you'll see we solve with the Keypanion app is managing access over a distance. If I have a cabinet here in Denver, Colorado, and someone in Pennsylvania needs access to that cabinet, but the key is here with me, how do I get them that key? I have to next day air overnight that key to them at a very expensive cost. Same thing with an RFID card. If they need access and the card is with me, how do I get it to them quickly, easily, and in a cost-effective way? One of the other challenges with mechanical keys is it's a visible attack point. If you have a mechanical lock or even electromechanical lock that's visible on the outside of an application, on the outside of your piece of equipment, as a vandal, that's the very first spot I'm going to attack. I'm going to look for that visible lock, those visible hinges, and that's where I'm going to vandalize to break into your application because I know that's the weak point. So by moving away from mechanical locks to electromechanical solutions, you'll see in a few moments we have a variety of concealed latches that will go inside your application to take away that visible attack point and add strength and security to your application. So with all those things, one of the most important takeaways from all of those different terms is that when you're looking at what is the total cost of the issues that you're having today, you have to look at the total cost of quality, the cost of service, maintenance, rolling a truck every time something happens, calling out a locksmith. It's really that total cost of ownership when you're looking at what does it cost me today to use a mechanical key and a mechanical key lock to help you justify that journey to an electromechanical solution. And just based on my discussion with a variety of customers around the world, you'd be surprised how much money you're probably spending on those quality issues, those maintenance issues with your mechanical key solutions. So as we get into the solutions of your problems, and a way to solve all of those is with our new wireless access control system. And that really consists of three unique items. We have the electromechanical lock, we have the Bluetooth controller, and we have our Keypanion app, or your key to solving those challenges. So as we take a look at our electromechanical lock options, you'll see that Southco's been designing electromechanical locks for over 20 years now. We have a large repertoire of solutions that could help you with your application, everything from electromechanical locks to electronic slide bolts, to electronic swing handles, to electronic actuators. And we have over 145 different part numbers that now work with our wireless access control system with our Bluetooth controller and our Keypanion app. Light-duty solutions for indoor applications, heavy-duty vandal-resistant solutions for outdoors, products sealed to IP67, products sealed to UL rating Class 1 Div 2 for use in explosive gas environments like propane tanks and gas pumps. So a wide variety of solutions depending on your application needs. And as we go through the presentation, you'll see we offer you a request for a product demonstration with one of our Southco channel partners or one of our Southco salespersons to help you figure out what is the best solution for your application. So the second part of that system is our Bluetooth controller. A couple quick points about the Bluetooth controller. It is fully potted and sealed to IP67, works in environments from -40 C to 80 degrees C. We use Bluetooth Low Energy as our chipset. So you're looking at the latest technology and the most power efficient technology. And you'll see there at the bottom that we have simple, quick connectors. You're able to plug in a variety of different power sources into that barrel connector, as well as a variety of different locks right into the lock connector. There's no need to be splicing wires, looking at wiring diagrams, calling in electrical engineers to design out the power supply for the application. We've taken care of all of that for you to make that journey from mechanical to electromechanical simple and easy. Another thing to point out is that this Bluetooth controller will not only work with our Keypanion mobile app, which we'll be talking about today, but we also offer an API, and in the next few weeks we'll have our SDK available for those of you that already have an existing mobile app or an existing Bluetooth access control system that you would like to integrate into our locks wirelessly through our Bluetooth controller. So we have two paths for you depending on the needs of your application. And the third part of that system is our Keypanion app. And as I mentioned earlier, one of the big benefits of that is managing access over a distance. You can issue someone a key to get access to your equipment from anywhere in the world. You don't have to be standing next to them like you do with a physical credential, and you don't have to be standing next to the application to enroll them and give them access. You can do it from anywhere. So we really remove that need for physical keys, for physical cards, and we simplify and reduce your costs on that whole administrative process of managing the mechanical key, managing multiple key codes. We solve all of that with our Keypanion app. The app itself is available in 9 different languages, and it's free to download from both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. So to help you understand how the Keypanion app, how easy it is to use, how it can solve a lot of your problems, I've created a use case. And essentially, this is a story about a cabinet built by an OEM, and it goes out to be deployed, and how easy it is to manage access to that cabinet from anywhere. So first off, the OEM, the manufacturer of the cabinet, would build the cabinet, and before they ship that, they would install the Southco lock and the Southco Bluetooth controller into their equipment. They would then ship that piece of equipment out to be deployed, to be installed, and have additional equipment installed inside that cabinet. And when it got to it, when it landed its destination, the administrator will now, whoever that person is, the manager of the piece of equipment, maybe it's a local service manager, maybe it's a site manager or construction manager, that person will set up the device itself. So you can see on the right side of the screen pictures of the app. I'll step through that process and show you how quick and easy it is to commission a Bluetooth controller. So first they would create an account on Keypanion and log in. As they log in, they'll be presented with a 2-factor authentication. We do have an SMS text process that will come through just to verify that it is you, to prohibit people from logging in inappropriately. Once they do that, they're presented with what we call a devices page. Now, normally this devices page would show all of the devices that you have access to either as the administrator or a user. In this case, this is the first time this device has been used, first time this manager has ever used the Keypanion app, so their screen is blank. Couple things to point out on the screen. You'll see at the top here, there's a search bar. So as you do get multiple devices, you can quickly search for them by typing in the name of the device into that search bar. At the bottom of the screen, on every page within the app, we have what we call the nav bar. The nav bar is a quick way to jump between screens. The first icon there is for the devices, which is the page we're on. You'll see later on in the presentation, we talk about the user icon. You have a settings icon and a help screen icon. It's a great way just to move through the app very quickly. So obviously this administrator wants to enroll this Bluetooth controller. They would click on the plus button at the top right to add a new device. They'll then see a list of any unregistered Southco Bluetooth devices within Bluetooth range. And what we present there is the MAC address of that device. That MAC address is actually printed on the side of our Bluetooth controller. It's a unique ID for every Bluetooth device. We also include an extra sticker in the packaging of our Bluetooth controller that if that OEM is rolling out multiple cabinets to the same site, they could take that sticker and temporarily put it on the outside of the application to help that administrator, when they're first setting up and registering the device, differentiate between cabinets. So in this case, they'll click on that MAC address of the Bluetooth device. It takes them to our device setup page. There they can enter a name for the cabinet or the device, the location, how long do they want the electronic lock to stay unlocked before it relocks, any notes about the application. In this case, this person put in where they purchased the cabinet, when the warranty expires. They're just notes for the administrator. And then they quickly click register device. In a couple seconds, the device is now registered. You'll see the note at the bottom of the screen confirming that, and they're ready to go. If they click on that device icon to take them back to their devices page, they'll see that device is now on that page and it's showing that it is secured. And you'll see in a moment what it means to be not secured. So if that administrator, that manager now wants to get access to the cabinet, they would simply open the app, and that icon on the left, when that is blue, that means it's within Bluetooth range and the device can be unlocked. Simply push that button, the phone will now connect to the controller and the door will pop open. And you see on the app, the status of the door has changed. That was dark blue before, showing a closed door. Now it's light blue, showing an open door. So we're giving the user a visual cue that the application is no longer secure, that the door has been opened. When they're done, they simply close the door, and the app status will change to show that the latch is now in a closed state and the door is secure. So obviously one of the big features that this administrator, this manager is going to need to do is add additional users. And as I mentioned earlier, when they do that process, they don't have to be near the equipment, nor do they need to be near the user. They just need an internet connection. So very simply, to add an additional user to get access, they would open up their Keypanion app. They would click on the device. That opens up the device detail page. On that page, they find a variety of information around the product, including the option to add users. So they would click on the Users tab. That will open up a list of existing users of this device. In this case, this is brand new. This manager has not added any users just yet. To add a user, they would click the plus button at the top right. An Add User page comes up. You can see there, the first step is to enter the email address of the user you would like to give access to this piece of equipment. Plug in that email address, and then the administrator decides, do I give this person unlimited access, 24/7, 365, or do I give them limited access? If they click on limited access, it pops up some additional options. You can pick a start date and end date for that access. You can pick what days of the week that person has access during that time period. And then you can enter a starting hour and an ending hour for access. In this case, this administrator is adding a user who'll be working on second shift from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. And this cabinet happens to be based in New York City, so it's Eastern time zone. They simply click the register button, and now that new user has been invited to join Keypanion. If that new user has never used the Keypanion app before, has never created an account for Keypanion, they'll get an email saying that they've been invited to Keypanion by the particular administrator and the name of the device they've been added to get access to. They simply click on that email, say set up account, and they'll be presented to a page either through a browser or from the app if they've installed that on their phone, asking them to finish setting up their account by entering a first name, last name, and their password. And that's it. Now they're set up to use Keypanion. Now, if that user already had Keypanion, already was a user of Keypanion, what will happen is when that administrator adds them as a user, within 30 seconds, that new device will show up on their phone. Regardless of where they are in the world, if they have an internet connection, within 30 seconds, they'll see that device on their phone. In this case, this person happens to be standing next to the cabinet they need access to. They can simply push the unlock button, the phone will connect to the controller, and the door pops open. And you'll see again on the app screen showing the status of the door is open. You may also notice that this icon in the middle here, this person icon, is slightly different from our manager's icon. A user icon is simply a person, where a manager is a person with a gear. So if you have a mix of devices on your phone, you can quickly look and see which devices you're the administrator for versus devices you're a user for. So let's carry this example a little bit further. So if you recall a few moments ago when we registered this user, the administrator gave this person limited access, Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. for a week's time through next Tuesday. So all of a sudden, this particular technician is called into service on a Saturday night. There's an emergency, some maintenance needs to be done. So she shows up to the cabinet to do the work, but her icons on her phone are grayed out. You'll notice in the last week, she's been given access to a few additional cabinets, but the New York cabinet, the cabinet NY1, is grayed out, but she's standing right next to the cabinet. So it's not that she's not within Bluetooth range, but what's the scenario? So for her to find out, to have some more communication, she can simply click on the device. It opens up a device detail page where we tell her at the top that you have limited access. If she had unlimited access, that wouldn't be there, but in this case, she was granted limited access, and she can click on that link, which will open up a page to tell her what her limited access time band is, the start date, the end date, the day of the week, and the start time and end time. In this case, it's Saturday, and she was not given access on a Saturday. So she can now go back to her device detail page. She can see who the administrator is of that cabinet. She can send them an email. Just clicking on that link will open up the email on her phone, or she could reach out to her supervisor and ask for access. So now let's take this example a little bit further and say this device administrator, this manager, happens to be on vacation in Seattle that weekend. So he's on one side of the country, where our technician is in New York on the other side of the country needing access to the cabinet. Obviously, if this was a padlock or something with a mechanical key or an RFID card, it'd be very challenging for this administrator to get that user that credential to gain access to that piece of equipment because he's on the other side of the country. But with Keypanion being a cloud-based solution, there's no issue whatsoever. He can quickly pull up his phone, see all the devices he's the administrator for, click on either he could click on that device and go into the user to change the settings, or better yet, we have an icon at the bottom called Users. If he looks at the nav bar and clicks on that second icon, that will open up a page that will show him all of the users that are associated with any of the devices he's the administrator for. So all those cabinets you saw on the previous page, these are the users who have access to those cabinets. At the bottom of the list there, he sees Sophie Southco, who is the technician in New York who needs access to the cabinet. He can simply click on her name. It will open up a user page for her where he can click on devices. And now he gets a list of all the devices that Susie Southco has access to, or Sophie Southco has access to, that he's the administrator for. He sees the cabinet New York 1. He can click on that. That will now open up that limited time band that he created for her. And he can simply go in and add Saturday to the list. If he needs to change the date range because she's going to be working an extra week on this particular project, he could do that here as well. Save changes, and again, within 30 seconds, Sophie Southco's phone will update, and she'll now have access to that cabinet. It doesn't matter that he's on the other side of the country. And lastly here, the administrator or the device administrator, the manager in this application, can also look at access history for any device that he is responsible for. So in the case of cabinet New York 1, he can pull up his app, click on that cabinet. It will open up his device detail page where we were a few moments ago, and you'll see access history. He can click on access history, and that will pull up by date any user that has accessed that piece of equipment and the time they went in. So it's an easy way to see, hey, I'm paying this technician to come out and do work on this project. Did they actually show up and do the work? Was that cabinet door opened up so they could get access to it? So we like to say in summary here is, hopefully you've seen through this presentation how easy Keypanion is to set up, how easy it is to use and to share access. And really what we're saying is that within 90 seconds, you can go from having a box of parts on your desk, simply plug them in, download our app, create an account, register the Bluetooth device, and start sharing access with someone. It's that quick. It takes less than 90 seconds. And the beauty of this is that it's so easy to do. You don't have to worry about getting IT involved, information technologies. There's no software to install because it's cloud-based. It's through an app on your phone. You don't have to worry about getting electrical engineers involved to size what power supply you need for the application. We have all those options for you. Just plug it in and you're done. You don't have to worry about getting software engineers involved. There's no splicing of wires, looking at wiring diagrams. Simply plug it in and you're ready to go. So what we've tried to do here is make it easy to access your equipment with your phone. No more need for mechanical keys or RFID cards. Simply plug it in, very simple installation. By moving from a visible mechanical lock or even electronic lock that's on the outside of your application and going to one of our concealed electromechanical solutions, you've removed all those visible attack points, making your application much safer and harder to break into. You can provide access to others in seconds, including with either unlimited or limited access, and you can do it from anywhere in the world. And of course, you can review your access history to confirm people have actually gone into the application and done what they've said they've done. So some resources for you to use as we move past the webinar here today. We have what we call our engagement portal. That can be accessed by going to southco.com/Keypanion. It's a great resource because we have links, as you can see in the middle of the screen there with a 1-2 key. You can click on the link for the electromechanical lock. It'll take you to our electromechanical lock section on southco.com. The middle icon is for our Bluetooth controller. You can click on that. It'll take you to information on our Bluetooth controller, the different configurations we offer. And then you'll also be able to click on Keypanion, the app itself. That'll take you to keypanion.com, where you can find information about the app. An important thing to note about the keypanion.com website, that really is a tool for both you and your customer to figure out how to use the Keypanion app. So if you were to design a product using our Bluetooth controller and Keypanion app for access control, as you roll your product out to the market, you can send your customer directly to keypanion.com to learn how to register the device, add users, etc. We have FAQ questions, frequently asked questions on that page, along with some quick videos to show how this process is done. It's a great resource to learn more about the product. We also have an animated video on this page, which is a great tool to help your colleagues understand the benefits of moving to wireless access control with Keypanion. And lastly, at the bottom of the page there, you can also request a demo. If you'd like more information or some more help from a Southco distributor or a Southco salesperson, you have the ability to request a demo, have someone come reach out to you about what is the best lock for your application, and give you some design assistance. We highly encourage you to take advantage of that. So now I'll stop here and ask for any questions.
Hi, good morning and good afternoon. Mike, we have a couple of questions. The first one, what's the duration of the audit control history?
That's a great question. So the audit history in the app is shown as 14 days. After 14 days, it doesn't appear in the app anymore.
Okay, thank you. Is it possible to use the app when the internet is down?
That's a great question. Yes. So if you have an application, let's say it's one of those cabinets, and that cabinet is in a remote area where there isn't internet service, as you're setting up your Bluetooth controller through the registration process, you can decide to enable offline mode. Offline mode will allow a user to get access to a piece of equipment when they don't have a connection to the internet.
Thank you. Can you have more than one administrator?
In the current version of the app, we call this our MVP, or our minimum viable product. It's our first version of the app, which we launched a few months ago. There is only one administrator per Bluetooth device, but we are working on the next generation of app where you will have the ability to have multiple admins. So today there is a restriction to one. An easy way around that is kind of what I did in this example here, that if you have multiple administrators who need access, let's say it's a cabinet on the shop floor in a manufacturing environment, and you want each shift supervisor to have access to that cabinet, you could register the device with a generic email address. Like I did here, I called it cabinetsuper@outlook.com. So you could have multiple people logging in as cabinet super who could become the administrators of that cabinet on each shift if necessary.
Okay, thank you. And thank you everybody for your questions that are coming through. We have a few more here. Are there any subscription charges or licensing costs?
Excellent question. No, the app is today the mobile app is free. The functionality that you see in the app today will remain free. As we move forward, we will be adding additional functionality via a web portal and some additional capabilities where there will be some licensing or some fees for that. But the functionality you see today in the Keypanion app is free, and the goal is to remain free as we move forward.
Thank you. And regarding the status of the door monitoring, what is the status of that if it is left open?
It's a great question as well. So obviously this is a Bluetooth controller with wireless communication to your phone over Bluetooth. If you walk away from an application, you unlock a door, you do your job, you leave the door open, as you walk away, the phone is keeping track of that. It's being notified that, hey, the door is still open. If you leave and someone else closes the door, you're not going to be notified of that because there's no one using the Keypanion app within Bluetooth range. So if you stay by, you do your job, you finish up, you close the door, the app will record that transaction. As we move forward down our product roadmap, we'll have some solutions to give you that ability to do that real-time monitoring. But today it is through the phone. And if your phone is not there, you wouldn't pick up that transaction and know if the door is open or closed.
Thank you. One more question. Insurers rate key locks as one of the highest securities for insurance. So where does this sit with insurers?
It's a great question. I don't have an answer to that for you. That would be something to explore. What would that do for their, for their rating of your application? How would that be? I don't have an answer to that. I'm sorry.
Okay, and just one more in about the types of applications where this may be used currently. Are there any applications where this is particularly suitable or valuable?
Yeah, I think what we've seen is we've been working with the app has been under development for a few years now. We've had a variety of beta customers around the world looking at the product, and I think the best way to describe a perfect application is anywhere you currently are using a mechanical key. You have multiple users who need access to that piece of equipment, whatever it may be, and those users turn over frequently. So maybe you contract the maintenance out to your equipment to a servicing company. You've got multiple people doing that, and they change often. Getting them new credentials every time they change can be challenging. They can be lost or stolen. So by going to an application using a wireless access control system, it's so easy to revoke that access and give access to new people without having to manage that physical key. So typically we find it applications where multiple users going into an application, this is a great solution for that.
Thank you. We don't have any more questions at the moment. We have a few moments if anybody does have a question. Otherwise, Mike, I hand it over to you to close. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time. I know a half hour out of your day can be hard to do, so we really appreciate you attending. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to us, your local Southco distributor, your local Southco representative. You will be receiving a recording of this webinar in a few days. That will give you some links as well to request that demonstration if you'd like someone from Southco to contact you and help you provide some guidance for your application. So again, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it and hope you have a great rest of your day. Cheers.